Good evening, everyone. Well, it's Wednesday evening, and I want to talk about tonight the term fellowship. Fellowship. You know, true fellowship, true Christian fellowship can only happen between Christians. It can't happen between non-Christians and Christians. You can't have any fellowship, true biblical fellowship. And some people have a very rigid view of the church, very rigid view. And I've been accused of having a too open view. My view of the church is that it's the bride of Christ. Remember when the disciples were walking on the road to Emmaus and was conversing with Christ, and until he revealed himself to them, they didn't even know they were talking to Christ. And then later they said, "Did not our hearts burn within us as we walked by the way?" They were communing and fellowshipping with the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I was in a fellowship tonight of about, 7 people. And they were all sharing their faith and biblical passages. But if you polled any of those people, they would say, well, that was not church. That was not church. Well, to me, it was more like church than a lot of church services I've been in, I'll put it that way. You know. And so many of them were, ministers, elders, deacons, whatever. But it wasn't church. You should go to, okay? People think it has to be a brick and mortar building somewhere. That's not necessarily church. Fellowship in the bride of Christ, members of the bride of Christ meeting together. It says, where 2 or 3 are gathered together, there will I be. And if 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there will I be in the midst of them. If that isn't church, I don't know what it is. A group of believers meeting together. I had a guy tell me this morning, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. Well, when Christ went and met in Mary and Martha and Lazarus' home, were they having fellowship together? I'm glad the church is not made with hands. I'm glad there's no temple in heaven. For Christ himself is the temple. And so we go around the world tonight in fellowship with people around the world, 82 countries, and we share the good news of the gospel that Jesus came into the world to save sinners, for whom I am chief. And if he died for you, then that means he predestinated you unto adoption before the foundation of the world. Yes, I believe in the absolute predestination of all things, and that includes the souls of men. The 9th chapter of Romans is clear on it. He created vessels of honor and vessels of dishonor. He fitted some for destruction, and then he created others unto honor. He loved Jacob and he hated Esau, the children not being born, not having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand. That's not very palatable to the flesh, is it? We have no good in ourselves. We're dead. We're born dead in our trespasses and sin. You know. But there are people out there that are trying to be the judge and the jury as to who are Christ's. That's not your jurisdiction. That's Christ's jurisdiction. To say that all churches other than one church, the old School Baptist Church, all churches are daughters of Rome, I think is a little bit of a stretch. Are you saying that all people in those churches are reprobate? Is that what you're saying? Because they're not a member of your church? Give me a break. Jesus himself said he has people from every tongue, every people, and every nation. And I'm not into ecumenism at all. But I do believe that there are people who believe the Bible that are not members of the Welsh Tract Baptist Church. Okay. I think they only have probably 15 members in that Welsh Tract Baptist Church. And the Bible says that he has people from every tongue, every people, and every nation. Not just Welsh Tract Baptist Church. Well, that's kind of what's on my mind tonight. I'm glad that the foundation of God stand assured. He knows who are his. He knows who are his. Because he's the one that predestinated them. He's the one that called them. He's the one that died for their sins. He's the one that rose again for their justification. He's the one that's coming back for them. So, true fellowship is with true Christians. You don't have to be a member of a social club. You don't have to all agree on every little biblical point to have fellowship. The more you do agree upon, the greater the fellowship, I'm sure. But, you know, this is something that, you know, we have to examine. You know, where two or three are gathered in my name, there will I be in the midst of them. That was what Christ said. And he didn't say where two or three Welsh Tract Baptist members gather together, there will I be in the midst of them. Or where two or three Pineville Grace Fellowship members, there will I be in the midst of them. You know, he said where two or three are gathered in my name, there will I be in the midst of them. I have to remind the Old School Baptists that they were called Christians first at Antioch, not Old School Baptist. Okay. Well, that's what's on my mind tonight. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I love the Old School Baptist. I don't agree with them on everything, as you know. I certainly don't buy into their preterism. But anyway, I hope you all have a blessed evening. God bless.